Hello everybody, this is the Holiday Guy, and I'm going to talk about something. So, this kind of worried, this post kind of worried me about It Chapter 2. There was test screening, I think, a couple days ago or something like that. It says It Chapter 2 said to be nearly 3 hours long, not as good as the first. Now, what I'm really happy about, it's going to be almost 3 hours long. But what I'm kind of worried about, the fans were saying it's not as good as the first. Now, this is test screening. But there's actually good news I'm about to say once I get to the messages, but not as good as the first. Now, obviously this is a test screening. Don't panic yet, because there's good news. Not as good as the first. They kind of talk about in the messages that the fans' reactions to this movie were positive, and they thought it was pretty good. But they said it needs work. It's not perfect. It's not as good as the first. And what they mean by it's not as good as the first is they kind of mean if this movie gets edited the way it's supposed to be when it comes out, they mean once it gets edited properly the way it needs to be to get released, it will probably be better than the first one. But right now they're kind of concerned. But that's just a test screening. So audience reactions were good, and they thought it was pretty good. But you'll see the message here in a minute. But almost 3 hours long, guys. This is going to be good. So we're going to get a lot of Pennywise in this film. And to be honest, almost 3 hours for a horror film. Man, this might be the first horror film in forever, if not the first time to almost be 3 hours. And for almost a 3 hour horror film, almost a 3 hour long horror film movie, it better be better than the first. Anyways, let's get right into the message. So begins the story of It Chapter 2, the Star Sub sequel that's said to be almost 3 hours in length, citing an anonymous source on Twitter. UK tabloid Daily Express has relayed what it claims to be the first reaction to It Chapter 2, which is seemingly pretty good, but not as good as the first. It Chapter 2, almost 3 hours long, pretty good, but needs work. The first is better, and that's all I'm saying. Lest WB sue me into an early grave. What the heck? Okay, that's weird. But this is cool. They're saying it's pretty good, but it needs work. So, while this is likely a legitimate tweet, there's a very good chance that It Chapter 2 will be trimmed prior to release. Remember, the first movie clocked in at around 2 hours and 15 minutes, so while this early cut is said to be closer to 3 hours in length, we wouldn't be surprised if Warner Bros. And director Eddie Muschietti decide to scale back before placing her final seal of approval, and the theatrical cut nevertheless will be keeping the right up to date as the sequel begins. Coalesque. It Chapter 2 creeps into theaters on September 6th. Now, so this is good. Eddie Muschietti is obviously still editing the movie, and because this is good. I'm happy to hear this. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys worried?